Good afternoon and welcome to the Crypto Market News Desk. I'm your host, Dickie Armour, and don't forget, we're sponsored by STANAGE Watches. Go and check out STANAGEwatches.com. You too could have an amazing looking power reserve like me. Huge thanks to Connor Leisig STANAGE, the wonderful, the genius, the very talented watchmaker himself. And on today's show, I'm going to be talking about the volatile markets. I'm going to be talking about the UK IT hardware supplier who is planning to build the largest Bitcoin mining farm in the UK. I'm going to talk about Peter Thiel and what he thinks about Bitcoin. And once again, big fan of Bitcoin, Tommy Lee, his latest price prediction. And I've got a dog that can juggle story too. All of that on today's show. So volatile markets, up and down and up and down. Very, very traumatic weekend with the markets dropping down, the market capitalization dropping down below $300 billion for the first time in a while. Certainly the first time this year. Markets dropped down as low as $278 billion before bouncing back. Now, this is, when you think about how much the markets moved, at the beginning of last week, the market capitalization for all cryptocurrencies was standing at around $398 billion. It's dropped all the way down to $278 billion in less than a week. Now, markets did climb overnight and they were around $312 billion today. So markets have rallied. Most stocks are up about 5 to 7%. Some have flown up by more than 20% in overnight trading. So the market's looking a bit better, but it's certainly not for the faint-hearted. And check out my C.M.N.D 500. 2 weeks gone, down 34 and a bit percent. So it is not easy making money in these crypto markets. You can see how they've differed as well. Look how much particles dropped and how much NEM hasn't dropped in comparison. So it'll be interesting to see how the 5 different cryptocurrencies move over the coming weeks and months. Now, it's not all bad news, as I will share later on in today's show. Now, there is a British IT hardware supplier, Blade Tech, a UK well-known IT hardware supplier. They are planning on building the largest Bitcoin mining farm in the UK, and they're talking about building it in the next 3 years. And I think this is really interesting because a lot of people recently have been saying that it's too late for Bitcoin mining. You've missed the boat. Blade Tech don't think so. They're investing a lot of money into creating this Bitcoin mining farm. And people have been saying that power is so expensive and it's going to be more expensive in the UK than it is in some of the other places where people are mining around the world. And they say because it is now so expensive and the price of Bitcoin has dropped so low, and people are saying that it might drop even lower, therefore it's harder to make money from Bitcoin mining. The project is being called Third Blade Tech Bitcoin Mining Company Limited, TBBMC. It's trying to raise £10 million, just under $14 million from investors to build and operate the farm over the next 2 to 3 years. So this is not a short-term plan. So Blade Tech company in the UK trying to raise £10 million. They are investing in the future of Bitcoin. And John Kingdom is the Blade Tech founder. He's the guy backing this, and their assumption is that even from the sale of the mining equipment alone would result in a profit. But it's unknown whether he's taken into consideration some of the other factors like the cost of electricity, but you'd think a company like Blade Tech would have done their due diligence. Peter Thiel, the co-founder of PayPal and billionaire, has once again endorsed, hey, I sound New York, man, has endorsed Bitcoin. He says that it is going to be the online equivalent of gold. It's like bars of gold in a vault that never move. It's a sort of hedge against the whole world falling apart. He struck a bullish tone on Bitcoin in particular versus other cryptocurrencies. He says there will be an online equivalent to gold, and the one you'd bet on would be the biggest. So Peter Thiel thinks that Bitcoin is going to last the test of time. Others not so sure, but another longtime fan of Bitcoin, Tom Lee, the Fundstrat CEO, has forecast that the Bitcoin price, he's made lots of predictions over the years, he's been correct on most of them. Now, I've reported in recent shows that he says Bitcoin is going to hit $25,000 by the end of this year, 2018. Well, a couple of days ago, he said Bitcoin will hit $91,000. Quite a precise number, $91,000 by March 2020, so in 2 years' time. So the price of Bitcoin at the moment, just over $8,000. He thinks it's going to go up to $91,000 in 2 years' time. Now, he's basing that on the charts. You can check out the chart here. He's basing it on previous times when Bitcoin has dipped and then bounced. Dipped and bounced, dipped and bounced, dipped and bounced, dipped and bounced, dipped. Perhaps that's a new hodl, BTFD. Dipped and bounced, dipped and bounced, dipped and bounced. Who knows? Anyway, so that's what he's basing it on. He's a cleverer guy than me. Clearly, I can't even sing. And Tommy Lee reckons that Bitcoin will be $91,000 within the next 2 years. So I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not giving you financial advice. You make up your own mind. You do your own due diligence. But Tom Lee reckons Bitcoin will be $91,000 within the next 2 years. And I've got a dog that can juggle story. It's not really an as amusing one as normal. It's a frustrating one, really. How the mainstream media have been taking the mickey out of Bitcoin. I will include this video in the show notes so you can watch it to your heart's content. But we've got people like Stephen Colbert, Ellen, Conan O'Brien, John Oliver, mainly out of America, taking the mickey, asking what is Bitcoin. They don't know what Bitcoin is, and they're trying to work out what Bitcoin is, and they've come up with all sorts of silly things. Bitcoin's been on Jeopardy, the US quiz show, where they asked a question about it. It's even been featured on The Simpsons. And of course, those of us in the UK recently, a couple of weeks ago, saw the Panorama program where they talked about Bitcoin. I thought it was actually quite a good program with the explanation of what Bitcoin is and what Bitcoin mining is, but it didn't really do Bitcoin justice. So there's lots of haters out there, there's lots of naysayers, so stay strong. If you hold Bitcoin, carry on holding it. There is talk that it could go down to the next support level. It's hit the latest support level, 7,500, and it's bounced quite nicely. The support level below that is $6,500. Let's see whether it gets down there or whether it remains on the high that it's ticking up now. In order to continue, it has to get through 11,300 or thereabouts, according to the chart and analysts. So thank you so much for watching. If you're not yet a subscriber, click the subscribe button down here. Please subscribe to the show. You'll then get notified when we go live. But that one's really easy. 2 p.m. UK time every weekday, Monday through Friday. I've been your host, Dickie Armour from Bristol in the UK. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you, you guessed it, same time tomorrow. Thanks.